Hi guys, and welcome back to another video game with the powers. I'm Jake, and in today's video, I'll be giving you my in-depth review of Marvel Dice Throne missions and expansion for the game Dice Throne. Now, if this is your first time watching an in-depth review from us, we go a little bit more in-depth than maybe some other content creators do, and we go ahead and break the game down into 7 different categories. These categories are theme, components, setup, length, difficulty, replayability, and price. Within each of these 7 different categories, guys, I'll be giving them a number rating equivalent to the BGG scale. And at the conclusion of going through these categories, I'll wrap things up, giving my overall rating for the game, where I'm going to talk about some things I really enjoyed about the game and some things I particularly did not like so much. Last but not least, since the majority of these games I do review, I backed on either Kickstarter or GameFound, I will ask the proverbial question: if I had the opportunity to back this game again, would I do so? And I will give you my answer and why I'm saying that particular answer. But all right, guys, enough chitter chatter from me. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's review, starting off with the theme. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the theme a 9 out of 10 here. I think Marvel Dice Throne Missions does an excellent job thematically of tying in the mechanics of what they're trying to do, and really the brand is the wrong word here, but the emphasis that they're trying to get through here with this theme is this missions tagline, right? And I think they do an excellent job with that. There are a bunch of different missions here in this game with their each unique villain. Prior to that, it's not just a boss battler, right? You are going to have, like, one side of your little pamphlet is going to be a mini scenario. The other side is going to be that boss fight, and there's a cool thematic collaboration between the scenario and the boss. So for example, if you guys took a look at our most recent Marvel Dice Throne Missions campaign series video where I took on Claw, that mission was called Vibranium Wars. And, you know, Claw and his goons and his henchmen invaded Wakanda, and they were trying to steal some vibranium. And if you guys know any Marvel lore, Claw has always been a menace to Wakanda and Shuri and Black Panther. And so it really sticks true to the thematic presence and feel of the game here. So they've done an excellent job here with that 9 out of 10. I actually want to go ahead and jump down to the table, guys, and show you exactly what I'm talking about with these little pamphlets and how these mechanics tie into the theme of the game. All right, guys, so down here at the table, we have one of these little pamphlets, and you'll see on one side of the pamphlet, you will have the villain that you will be taking on, and the other side of the pamphlet is you're gonna have a little mission. And what I really enjoy that each of these missions have their own distinct difficulty and their own time duration, and they have that set up right there. But when you unfold this pamphlet, you will see on side number 1, you're gonna have this particular mission that you would be taking on. And so this is that Vibranium Wars mission. So Claw's goons have invaded Wakanda. They're trying to steal vibranium, and then they're trying to get up out of there. And so this mission is all about trying to defeat these mercs before they steal or basically take off with the vibranium. So I love how they have this mini scenario with a thematic presence and feel that ties into the villain. And then once you guys complete this side, you flip it over here, and then now you will take on that boss fight. And again, they really could have just made this a boss battler where you just fight all these different bosses, but they went above and beyond here by giving you a little mini setup, and I think it just adds so much, or a mini scenario, I should say, and it just adds so much to the thematic presence and feel of this particular game. But as I mentioned, guys, 9 out of 10, I think they've done an excellent job. All right, I actually want to stay down here for a sec and talk about the components. So I really wanted to give these components a 9 out of 10, guys, but there's 2 things that I feel as to why I cannot give this a 9 out of 10. So I'm coming in here with an 8.5 out of 10 for these components. And let's go ahead and talk about these components in general. And then at the end of kind of me talking about the components, I'll tell you why I'm giving this an 8.5 instead of a 9. But first of all, we have these pamphlets. And man, I really do enjoy these little mission pamphlets. They're super thin. I love the glossy finish on the pamphlets. You can see that glossy finish there that they have on them. They're you know, if water or drink happens to get off them, they'll be able to slide right off because of that glossy finish. So I very much enjoy that. I love that, you know, there's a bunch of distinct different pamphlets with their each character. The artwork is phenomenal. So look at all these different pamphlets they got in the game. They have an abundance of them. Just a excellent job with these pamphlets and the design and the way they're going to operate. Again, you can play these one-shot style. So just get a pamphlet out and go through the scenario and the boss fight, or you can do like a campaign style. And so they have these little perk point sheets, which is kind of like a campaign. And on the back side, they have a tracker of all the different missions that are in the game and the difficulty of each mission. So as you gain these perk points, you can apply these bonuses to the missions that you find further. And then they have like a little new game plus where you can add in the mythic cards. So awesome job there. All right, next we have our token tray right here with all our glorious tokens. Excellent job at the storage of having to store everything there. And then last but not least, we have our storage box, which is again, excellent storage, being able to get everything in its own particular spot. Super easy to get. It makes it tear down and set up very easy. We have acrylic boost tile tokens. I love these acrylic boost tile tokens. Acrylic markers for when you defeat a henchman. Here's some scenario specific markers that you might need at a certain point in time. We got our momentum dials, the crisis clock. I love how this is magnetic. They did a good job there. Acrylic first player token. Of course, that is awesome as well. We got the health dial. We got our mythic cards, our dice, and standees. So all the standees of the X-Men I managed to put in here. So love that as well. And then we have our ally cards and our mission setup and momentum cards all down here. So all in all, guys, look, I really truly think they've done an excellent job here with all of the components. But let's go ahead and talk about the two things as to why I feel like I can't give this a 9 out of 10. The very first one is some of these particular health dials. As you guys can see right here, I'm missing a piece on my health dial, so I've reached out to them. Hopefully they can send me a replacement one. But in regards to the specificness of the health dials, you'll notice that if I move this health dial down, not a problem, right? Now when I try to go up, you can see I'm actually trying, like, you can see I'm trying to move this dial up and it will not move up. So it is stuck. It just gets stuck. If I want to do this health dial, I need to do it like that. And then you can kind of see how these health dials are very flimsy to me. I wasn't really impressed with the overall production of these health dials. I feel like the retail edition of the Dice Throne characters I've gotten and the Dice Throne Adventure health dials are more sturdy and more well built than any of the X-Men health dials and the health dials associated with missions. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on that. But that's the first one. And again, I've encountered this with some of the Marvel X-Men heroes as well, where their health dial will only move if I do it down. But you can even see right here going down was a little bit of a problem as well. So, just very cumbersome for me. So that's the first one. The second one is, this is a known thing within the community, as that these pamphlets 9 times out of 10 will never sit flat on your table. So you might be able to see there's a little lift here on this side. Now you can push them down and the lift does get a little bit better, but you can still see I can slide my finger underneath. Now for me personally, this one is not that big of an issue, but I know for some people it will be. Thankfully, the community has a bunch of little tips and tricks of how you can get these pamphlets to sit flat on your table. But the good portion is most of the content and the battle you're going to be doing is in this middle section of the pamphlet, and thankfully it's not on a crease. And so once you put these tiles on here, this side will kind of sit flat, even if everything kind of else stands up. But that's the second thing that I got right here. You can see most of the bulk of the fighting you're going to be doing is in this middle pamphlet, and not so much on one side or the other where it's going to rise up. But for me, those are the two main issues: the dials, and then that these pamphlets don't sit flat all the time. So those are the two things why I feel I cannot give this a 9 out of 10. So that's why I'm coming in with an 8.5 out of 10. All right, guys, moving on to the setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the setup a 9 out of 10 here. I think there's an excellent setup to Marvel Dice Throne missions. Each of these individual missions, guys, are so easy to get to the table. As you can see, you open up your pamphlet, you go on side 1, and all the setup and information you need to know for that particular mission is right there on each individual side. And so there's not a lot of crazy setup with those particular missions. You might not even have to set anything up. You might just have to put like a plot token or a couple plot tokens out and about on the mission itself, but there's not a lot of additional setup other than the main setup of Marvel Dice Throne missions, which is easy. You set up your character, you set up your health dial, your CP dial, you draw some cards, and then you put the boost tiles out there, and then you apply any perk points. Allies, get them out, get them ready to go, and you guys are ready to play. So I would say 5 minutes or less here with this setup. Super easy to get to the table. So 9 out of 10 for me. Excellent job. Okay, moving on to the length. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the length an 8 out of 10 here. I think there's a great length with each of these missions within Marvel Dice Throne missions. As you saw earlier, each individual mission is going to have its own length. So the one you saw today, 30 to 45 minutes, there's some that are gonna be 45 to 60 minutes. I would say on average, most of your games are gonna run about 45 to 60 minutes. Maybe less. I mean, it just depends on how quickly you guys can get through the main objective. If you're trying to perfect every single objective, you're probably gonna look to 60 plus for each of these scenarios. I know you look at all my solo videos, they've been over an hour, right? Because I've been trying to perfect everything. But if you're just trying to play the main mission, guys, you can actually move through those pretty quickly. But I think with all the different variability, I would say around 45 minutes to 60 minutes is a safe bet for each mission. That includes side 1 and side 2, which is really, really great if you're kind of chugging along, which I think is great. So 8 out of 10 for me in terms of the length. All right, guys, moving on to the difficulty. As always, the lower the number, the easier we feel the game is. The higher the number, the more challenging we feel the game is. And I'm coming in here with a 2 out of 10. Now, I do want to say a caveat here is that I am assuming that you guys have prior Dice Throne knowledge or experience coming into this expansion, because it is an expansion and you do need characters in order to play this game. You need base Dice Throne or base Marvel Dice Throne or X-Men Dice Throne, whatever. You need Dice Throne characters in order to play this expansion. So to me, I'm assuming you're coming in with prior Dice Throne knowledge. Coming in with prior Dice Throne knowledge, this is a 2 out of 10. This is super easy, guys. It's simple. Everything you need to know is right there on the pamphlet. There's maybe 1 or 2 rules that you might have to look at in terms of the range. You know, that's always been a stickler for me. I always forget that no matter if an ally has range or not, you have to spend a momentum to gain defense, even if you are in melee range. If they have a ranged attack, you still got to spend the momentum, right? And then the shields, the allies, or well, the henchmen will only spend shields on defendable attacks. So, but other than that, the difficulty level here is super simple, super easy. You guys will not have a problem setting this up and playing this, interacting with each of these missions. So 2 out of 10 for me. All right, guys, moving on to the replayability. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I think there's some excellent replayability here with Marvel Dice Throne missions. Again, they have an abundance of different missions that you can take on. I think it's something like, let me see the actual number here. We got 20. So there's 20 total missions in the game for you to take on. So 20 mini scenarios, 20 bosses. Again, like I said, you can play them one shot. You can play a whole campaign style where you're getting these perk points. You got a new game plus. You can come in and tackle these missions over again. You can use different characters for these missions. So there's just so much content and variability here with missions. They're giving you a whole lot. And so I think there's a excellent replay value here with this one. So 9 out of 10. All right, guys, moving on to the price here. So I backed this on Kickstarter for $60 US. You can pick this up or pre-order it actually on the Dice Throne website for $70 US. And at that price point, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I think that's a great price point, again, for the amount of content that you're going to be getting for this expansion. 20 different missions, guys, is a lot of content. And also in that pre-order, I did look and the contents did say acrylic tiles. So everything that you saw here today in terms of maybe minus the little Deadpool miniature that you guys saw in there. But everything else that you saw in here today, you will be able to get if you pre-order on Dice Throne website. So that for me is great value there. So 8 out of 10 in terms of the price. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and talk about my overall rating now. I'm going to go ahead and give Dice Throne Missions a 9 out of 10. I think this is an excellent expansion. I think this is an excellent new way for them to bring Dice Throne content to us. I think for me, one of the standouts with this is they could have gone and done, like, they could have just made this a boss battler game where it's just a single pamphlet that folds out and is going to have a villain. Instead, they decided to give you more content, more kind of bang for your buck, and have a mini scenario and then give you that villain as well. Like I said, look, there's a great theme here. The components are excellent. Very easy to get to the table. Playtime is not super long, so you'll be able to complete a full mission run in about 45 to 60 minutes. This allows you to kind of get maybe 1 or 2 missions done within a set period of time in your play group if you want to spend the time to be able to do that. I don't think this is very difficult to get to the table. Replayability for me is super high. I think it's a great price point. All in all, excellent 9 out of 10. So let's go ahead and talk about some things that I really enjoyed about Dice Throne Missions. The very first one is just the sheer amount of content and variability with all that content in the game. I've talked about it a whole bunch, 20 different missions. Each has their own unique villain. Each has a little mini scenario. You can play them one shot. You got the campaign tracker with all the mini perk points, adding in extra abilities for you. You got that new game plus that you guys can take on where you get the mythic cards now, and you can use these mythic cards. And I just love how you can use any Dice Throne character when playing missions, right? You're just not tied or forced to use Marvel characters or Marvel X-Men characters with this. They've opened it up to the entire Dice Throne universe, which is amazing. The second thing is, I've kind of hit on it just a little bit, was that you can do these one-shot or campaign style. I'm not going to go in depth there because, again, I've talked about it a whole bunch. So that's the second thing that I really enjoy about this game. And then last but not least, I really truly enjoy that you can play this game solo or play these missions solo, and you can feel really good about it. You can feel like you're not having to, the decision making is not super tight. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to have some creativity and kind of do what you want and still be able to get through these missions and succeed. And so the thing that really helps with this, I think, is the allies. They've added in these allies. I love being able to recruit these allies. That gives you some extra perks and bonuses that really help you as a solo player. But I feel like you're able to play this solo. Dice Throne Adventures, I don't really feel like you can play Dice Throne Adventures solo with just one character. And so that's kind of turned me off a little bit from Dice Throne Adventures. But with missions here, I think it's so accessible and so easy to play solo with one character through a campaign, through these series, and through these individual missions. And I think that's what makes it work so well. All right, guys, let's talk about some things that I particularly did not like about this game. I'm going to be super 100% honest here. There was not anything I could really think of other than the health dials and the that the mats don't lay flat. That other than that I did not like. I enjoyed every other facet of this game and this expansion and how they kind of set everything up. All right, guys, last but not least, the proverbial question: if I had the opportunity to back this game again, would I do so? Absolutely, 100,000,000% yes. And the reason why is everything that I just detailed earlier in my overall rating of why what I liked about it and why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. But all right, guys, well, look, that concludes my in-depth review of Marvel Dice Throne Missions. If you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit that notification bell. Comment down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about Dice Throne Missions. Have you had the opportunity to play it, and do you agree with me? And last but not least, guys, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe so we can keep bringing some more awesome content. All right, guys, y'all have a great one. Bye.